I didn't know that Jeff should come to last year.
I didn't eat.
Just got
Oh, it's terrible. So sad.
I was looking and saw Jeff she's not last year. She's not.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I'm so skinny.
Jessica, where did our where did our posters go?
It's up to you. What we did. Hey, we did.
Oh, do we? I'll read it. They took them up when someone lost his up here or something, and they moved them because they found things. I don't know where they went after.
Definitely don't know.
I bought me a stool so I wouldn't have to,
Pretty small.
my feet wouldn't go to sleep. Go to sleep.
She got her
I
stool.
feel like I'm sitting down in a hole. I feel like I'm as high as a hole.
No, I never sit back. I can sit.
Y'all ready? Franklin, sit down. Good evening. The Clover School District Board of Trustees welcomes you to today's monthly business meeting. The CSD Board will meet formally twice a month, the second and fourth Mondays, one work session, one board meeting. The business meeting format is as follows. The board will follow its approved agenda. During public forum, attendees wishing to address during public forum, attendees electing to speak will have 3 minutes. The board chair will address all speakers and provide the rules of public forum. Following public forum, the meeting will continue with the remaining presentations on the agenda. Following each presentation, the board will have an opportunity to ask questions before moving to the next. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to be followed by the invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the moment. Thank you for grace and favor. Thank you even for the challenges that we face every day. We ask that you continue watching over us, covering our students, staff, and community. We pray that you protect our county, state, and nation. In your name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
Without objection, the board will approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Without objection, the board will approve the minutes from the last meeting. Hearing none, minutes are approved. Without objection, the board will approve the approval of staff personnel as presented in executive session.
Mr. Chair, I will abstain from that vote, please.
Ms. Spencer, do you have Mr. Burris abstain?
And Mr. Chair, I will abstain as well.
So Ms. Cook as well. So personnel is approved. Recognitions and appreciations, Dr. Quinn?
All right, welcome everyone. It's great to see you here tonight. Thank you to all the families who are joining us in person to see your loved ones celebrated. Also, we want to thank those who are joining us via our YouTube channel. So we're going to jump right into recognitions tonight. The first is Battle of the Books. Clover School District hosted the annual Battle of the Books contest for our elementary and middle school teams Friday, March 28th. Tonight, we're recognizing the teams of students who won their school competitions as well as our district winners. And if you have never been to Battle of the Books, it is one awesome event. And so we're very, very proud of these students. We're going to start first with Bethany, the Cheeto Dusters. If you'll please.
No one from Bethany.
No Cheeto Dusters tonight. Well, let's celebrate the Cheeto Dusters. They were school winners. As you can tell, students pick these names, but that's Erin Nell, Hazel Varajabedian, and I even practiced that name. That was a hard one. Amaya Kirk and Elliot Hauk. So congratulations to those. Next up, we have Bethel, the Graphic Heroes. They'll come forward. Come on in. We're going to ask you to come back and get a picture in the center for us, right here in the middle. And we want to celebrate Banks Myers, Scott Worrell, Luke Messina, and Tessa Work. Parent photo op. Okay, got it. Great job. Congratulations. Next up, we have the Crowders Creek Book Destroyers. If you'll please come forward. Tonight, we want to celebrate Anthony Furr, Oliver Quaife, Cole Johnson, and Ronan Corbett from Crowders Creek. All right. Nicely done. Congratulations. Now we have a sweet name coming up here, the Kynard Radiant Readers. If you'll please come forward.
They must be reading.
Here are our Radiant Readers. Celebrating Noah McCoy, Riley Flores, Caroline Moon, and Emma Corona. All right. You'll smile for the camera. Congratulations. All right, next up from Lauren, we have the Bulldogs. If you'll please come forward.
No Lauren.
No Lauren? Well, we want to celebrate those Bulldogs anyway. Congratulations to Parker Phillips, Carson Wallace, Dylan Mackey, and Addison Hafford. Next up from Oak Ridge Elementary School, we have the Misfits. And no misfits here tonight. We want to celebrate Sawyer Culp, Liam DeFanny, Madeline Heinley, and Zaid La Rosa. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, for our district winners, for elementary, it was the Shooting Stars of Griggs Road. If you'll please come forward. Love the t-shirts. Those look great. We want to celebrate Rosalie Wilson, Emery Harris, Jensen Freeland, and DJ Rasmussen. Did I do that right? You guys look great. Thank you very much. Let's try that. Got a parent. One second. Sorry about that, parent. All right, and for middle school, our district champions for middle school was Oak Ridge Middle School. Will you please come forward? And we want to celebrate June Woodard, Stephanie Ammon, Caroline Putnam, and John Woodward. And while they're getting their certificates, Oak Ridge Middle School placed second in the county competition against Fort Mill, Rock Hill, and other Clover teams. So way to go, Oak Ridge Middle School. Very proud of you guys. All right, next up, we would like to bring forward, also from Oak Ridge Middle School, the FFA horse judging team. If you'll come forward at this time. And while you're coming in, I see your sponsor and teachers there. The Oak Ridge Middle School FFA horse judging team won the middle school state championship. They traveled to TED Garrison Arena in Clemson for the FFA State Horse Evaluation CDE and 4-H Hippology competitions. Over 100 4-H and FFA members registered in these contests. The horse evaluation CDE tests students' knowledge of equine science through a written identification test, a team problem-solving activity, and the evaluation and ranking of horses based on breed, conformation, and performance. Participants then must defend their rankings through oral reasons given before a panel of judges. Team members are Gabriela Ortiz, Brooke Richards, Kendall Sprankle, Andy Jane Iverstein, and Lily Kaladajeski. Congratulations. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this is back-to-back state championships for them, so we're very proud of them for that. All right, so next up, we have our ATC FFA Tool Identification Team. If you'll please come forward at this time. The Applied Technology Center's FFA chapter won first place in the state in the 2025 South Carolina FFA State Tool Competition. Team members are Ashley Cook, Cora Denny, Megan Blackman, and Shrey Patel. These students have worked hard this semester to learn 200 tools and the uses of those tools. They identified 40 tools from the list of 200 and then completed a matching test to match the tools named correctly with correct use. Ashley, Cora, and Megan each earned a perfect score, tying us for first place. We had a three-way runoff, and our students crushed their competition. They had 5 minutes to identify 30 tools by their uses without a word bank. Congratulations. All right, thank you very much. Love to see those blue jackets come in. Next up is our Applied Technology Center's Dairy Cattle Evaluation Team. If you'll please come forward. The Clover FFA Dairy Judging Team placed second at the state's Dairy Cattle Evaluation Contest on March the 21st. Emma Gail Wallace was the second highest individual of the entire contest. Team members were Emma Gail Wallace, Adriana Denny, and Rebecca Watkins. Congratulations. And proud dad can't take a picture, so we'll make sure we send you one.
Yes.
Last up tonight, we have our Clover Middle School Dairy Evaluation Team. If they'll please come forward. The Clover Middle School Dairy Evaluation Team competed in Clemson on March the 21st. The team won first place among middle school teams in the FFA contest, first place in high reasons in the 4-H competition, and third place overall in 4-H. Team members are Elsie Clinton, Hallie Harris, Jake Gardner, and Colvin Henson. Congratulations. Very impressed with all of our FFA teams. Congratulations on your success. You always make us very proud. That concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you all for joining us. If you would like to stay, we'd love to have you stay. If this is the time for you need to go make dinner, we also understand that as well.
We've done the ag building first while they were here.
Yeah.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Nobody.
Was proud to have you.
No.
Still right.
She's still right.
Brought my own pen tonight.
And I know that she participates in
Oh,
it.
yeah, she loves it.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, next we have public forum. Ms. Laura Wadecki is signed up to speak. If you want to come forward, Ms. Cody's going to read the little rules of the road as you come forward, please.
Any individual desiring to speak must sign in and give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that he or she represents. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Groups making a presentation should choose one spokesman to address the board. It is not necessary for others to repeat the same ideas, but they may add something that is pertinent. Speakers may only address school operations and programs during public forum. The board will not hear personal complaints about school personnel or persons connected with the school system in public session. Persons appearing before the board are reminded as a point of information that the board members are without authority to act independently as individuals in official matters. Thus, questions may be directed to members, but answers may be deferred pending consideration by the board. The board will receive public forum presentations as items of interest and will take no formal action on these matters, nor will it participate in a debate concerning these matters. Board members may ask questions or respond to matters for the purpose of clarification.
Ms. Wadecki, thank you. Can you come up to the microphone? I'm sorry, so the people at home can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Laura Wadecki, a parent of 4 Clover graduates, 2 of whom were in the special education program. I am here to invite the board on a field trip to ride on the Clover School District blue and white activity buses. Since they are Clover buses, the district is responsible for them, not the state. These buses are used by all Clover students, whether it's to jobs or York Tech for classes. Why would I ask such a request? Let me explain. I was at the high school picking up my son back in February when I walked by one of these buses and happened to notice the inspection sticker was over a year late and overdue. It just so happens my son rides these buses to get transported to his jobs during the week. So, as any responsible parent would do, I sent an email to the necessary people and got the problem resolved. But I ask you, why it took a parent to notice this? However, that got me thinking, is there anything else wrong with these buses? That led me to reach out to Ross Hunter to find out we have one bus from 2000. That's 25-year-old bus. So I did some old-fashioned research and spoke to people who had first-hand experience, whether they rode the bus or drove the bus. Here were some of my results. Not all the doors close due to broken hinges. They smell like mold. There are black dots visible in the buses. Windows don't stay closed, which makes rainy days fun. The defrosters do not work on all the buses. The ceiling material is falling down. The air conditioners and heat do not work on all the buses. There is missing emergency equipment, and one of them, the visor is missing, which makes it difficult to drive into the sun. My number one concern is safety for all students, and that's why I thought this was the best route to take. People talking about these shortcomings aren't as effective as seeing them firsthand. We need to be sure all the buses are safe. Not to mention, we need to replace the unsafe ones with safe and reliable ones. We also have to look into the future with all the growth Clover is experiencing, that we have enough for the growth. It is better to be prepared for the future and not caught with not enough transportation for the students. I also hope and pray I don't hear about the cost of these buses as being an issue when we just finished a new fitness center for how many millions? I would welcome the opportunity to speak after the meeting. I want to see this request to the end, meaning I expect to hear about your experience on the field trip and what the district plans on doing about the safety concerns of our students and staff. I look forward to hearing back from the board and hope to be kept informed of any findings and decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, the superintendent's report. Dr. Quinn?
All right, thank you very much. And Ms. Wadecki, if you would please join us in the May board meetings. We're going to be talking about the budget then, and those buses will come up then. So thank you. All right, so we're going to begin tonight with our Western York County Ag Arena. Many of you in the public may be aware that the 4 school districts have been working together to commission the building of an ag arena through donated dollars, mostly state dollars through the General Assembly. And now we're looking at some local funding, not only from the school districts for a small portion of that, but I'm happy to announce that York County has also put in their budget some funds up to $800,000 that will be contributed for the Western York County Ag Arena. Our students tonight are here to talk about that ag arena and the need for it. And board, this is something that could come up in the budget should we move it forward for your consideration later next month. I'd like to welcome our members from our FFA, ATC to join, and 4-H to join us tonight and talk about this. So thank you for being here.
My name is Emma Brown, and
Thank you.
my name is Emma Brown, and I'm the president of the Clover High School FFA chapter. I've been showing goats for 3 years, and for the past 2 years, I've actually gotten the chance to show both beef cattle and pigs.
I'm Emma Gill Wallace. I'm a 10th grader, and I'm the current treasurer and upcoming president of FFA. I got the opportunity to show a dairy heifer this fall.
My name is Ella Gray Jordan, and I'm the upcoming FFA vice president, and I show goats and pigs.
Hello, I'm AJ Dover. I am a senior at York. I am a senior at Clover High School. Excuse me. I've been showing horses for about 10 years now, and I've been showing pigs for almost as long. So I'd like to start off tonight's presentation with some facts. So 20 plus years ago, 4-H and FFA were showing at the York County Fairgrounds, and they showed there for many years up until it was sold to Winthrop. Then from there on, we've had to outsource our arenas for essentially all of our activities. So for example, all horse shows are held at the very closest at Lincolnton in Chester County for the big shows. For the small shows, places like BNS and B&B. And all those places, while they are close, they're still not technically York County, as well as having to outsource most of our labor for that stuff. So what I'd like to propose to y'all tonight is an opportunity to bring those shows back into York County and give the next generations of 4-Hers and FFA members a place to show in their county that they can be proud of.
So here are some facts about 4-H and FFA in our area. I think we have about 470 students in York County that are involved in 4-H, and 20% of those are, that is 20% of the whole state for 4-H, which is a large portion of the 4-H members. And then for Clover School District, we make up 41% of the entire FFA members of York County, so this would be such a wonderful opportunity for us if our school district would support.
Roughly 2 years ago, there were a few students that were invited to the York School District meeting talking about bringing it and what we would like at the arena. And I'd say a few months ago, we actually had, it was held at York, the district, and we got to talk about how important it is to us as youth in ag to be able to not only show, but show in our county and how important it is to us, for us to be able to say that we can call a place home in a way.
And if there's slides that you guys need, you can advance them, I think, right there. Sorry, I should have told you that before you started.
There we go. Okay.
There you go, because you were doing a great job remembering all your lines without those slides. It's impressive. That's just how they roll.
Trying to
Cool
remember.
under pressure.
Well, as you can see on the boards, in December of 2022, $500,000 were received from the South Carolina Department of Agriculture, and then September of 23, we had our Agriculture Steering Committee was formed, and then October, we hosted the countywide student input meeting, which is what I was talking about, and then in December of 23, $750,000 came from the South Carolina Department of Education, and then in January of 2024, we entered the agreement into the construction management, and then following that in February, we entered the agreement for the architectural engineering, and then in March, we had our Youth and Ag Night in Clover, which was our first showcase to show people in York County what we would like for the Ag Arena. And then in April, we had a community input meeting, so it wasn't just the students, but it was the whole county and the parents of the students and everyone who gets to be involved in it. And then June of 2024, $3 million was received from the South Carolina Department of Education. In August, we met with York County Administration regarding the Ag Arena. In October, we met with the economic development to impact the Ag Arena. And then in January of 2025, we held the countywide 4-H and FFA Fall Awards. And then February, we had FFA and 4-H students from all of the school district come to talk about the Ag Arena for the York County Council. And then last month, we had our Youth and Ag Night in York.
So I already talked about some of them. I'm sorry, it wasn't 470, it was 570. But again, that's a fifth of the whole state's enrollment, and we make up almost half of that of our counties. We have 3 community clubs and 5 after-school clubs, and 418 students are impacted by the embryology project, while 180 are impacted by the Beef Up Classroom Learning Project. For Clover School District, the number of students enrolled in Ag Ed are 1,015, while FFA members are 1,006. And students participating in contests, 103, and students showing livestock, 61.
So currently we have no permanent site for youth to practice and exhibit their agriculture projects. We mainly source out to Chester County for horse shows and Union County, their fairgrounds for the swine show. And I believe also the dairy show, the dairy show is held in Clemson. This results in a lot of trailering costs, a lot of gas money spent, and added stress to the animals, increased travel time, and lower participation based on the travel time. This arena will allow for not only a collaboration of the 4 districts, but it also will provide a space to host region and state events to kind of put York County on the map in terms of the horse showing, swine showing, and cattle showing world.
A little summary about the Ag Arena. We did come up with a name for our Ag Arena, and we also did design a logo. York School District has helped contribute to the land for us to build our Ag Arena on. York School District hired an architecture for us to design our building, and the funding, our budget is $5.5 million, and our secured budget is $4.3 million.
All right, so the property that we procured is right across from Sharon Elementary. It's about roughly 96 acres. which only, I believe, 20 of that, if you would refer to the board. That road that cuts around that little stretch of green is mainly where we're going to be putting that arena. It's mainly going to take up that entire green area currently. So we will have lots of room for further improvements and any other things the 4 districts would like to build there. From that, we actually do have some renderings given to us by the architects. So this would be a rendering of the front from the parking lot. So this is all a one-piece kind of cookie-cutter building, which does help on the cost. It is mainly steel with the rock inlay facade on the outside. This would be a view from the road. So it is sitting on a slope. So the arena would be sunken into the hill, and the bleachers would follow the curve of the slope. This would be a picture from the road as you pull in. So we'll have the logo there, some nice trees, whatever. Oh. And then this is actually a rendering of the inside of the arena and what it is supposed to look like, which, with my experience in horses, this looks very similar to me. Excuse me. This looks very similar to the place where they hold the where they hold the regionals for horsemanship, which is Perry, Georgia. Very large facility, very nice indoor air-conditioned arenas, and this is very, very similar.
Hey Jay, they showed the video. I'm not positive. You can kind of scroll on the bottom and they just that's no problem.
No, I don't believe so. All right.
So on the next slide, there's a link to the Western York County Ag website, but on there there's a giving guide, so you can see how to be a sponsor or how to donate or how to do the Buying a Brick campaign, which is there's a small brick, a medium brick, and a large brick, and if you get the medium or the large brick, you can put your logo for a business or something on that. But the small brick has, I think, 3 lines of text, so you can put a name or anything, so that students and parents or anybody can be a part of the building.
So the Ag Arena summary is, the webpage is seen on the slide. Our giving is sponsorship in the brick campaign. That's a great way, like Miguel said, to get not only the sponsorships that we've been given, but as youth and ag, for us to also be a part of it. It's a great way for us to feel like we've done something to contribute to it. The groundbreaking will be held in June of 2025, so this year. And the ask from us as the students that get to show is for all 4 school districts to unite and support us in our decisions.
Thank y'all very much for your time tonight, and we will leave y'all to make your decision in private.
Thank you.
Let's give them a big round of applause for that. Just a couple of things I'd like to say, point of privilege. I really want to thank our General Assembly, and specifically Representative Dennis Moss and Senator Harvey Peeler, for taking a leadership role in allocating funds to the State Department of Education that we could then apply to receive towards this. That's where the largest portion has come from. These students and others have been doing, our foundation, the Cloverleaf Foundation and the York One Foundation specifically, have been doing fundraisers to try to raise the money so that as little money from district operations could go towards this as possible. We are at that stage where the districts are considering to get us over the hump and get some ground broken and move us forward if there's some additional funds that the board could consider in our budget this year. So we will be bringing you a presentation in next month for a full budget at which, given your feedback, we could put this as one of the items we bring to you. We want to support these students. We feel very strongly about what they're doing in their development. Certainly the ag community is very supportive of this as well. And so, and I also want to thank, in preparation for the York County Council's deliberation, the county manager is going to be putting, as I said, $800,000 of his general budget towards this ag arena. It has really strong economic development opportunities, and we're just really excited about it. So, board, do you have any questions that I could answer at this time, or if the students can answer?
I don't think so.
Nope. Thank you very much for giving that information. We look forward to next month's discussion on this. All right, next up, I'll ask Ms. Gerber to come forward, and she is normally joined by her teammates, Ms. Mostowski and Ms. Miles, but she is batting solo tonight, as others have multiple conflicts with tonight's meeting. So your slides may say 3 names, but we thank Ms. Gerber for leading the charge.
All right, good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Kathleen Gerber, the Executive Director of Special Education for Clover School District. Tonight is what I call the State of the Union of Special Education in Clover School Districts as I share the following information with you. Just to start, a student is identified as having a disability that impacts their education. So that's what we call prong 1 of qualifying for special education. Prong 2 is what adverse effect does that have and require what specialized instruction. So you have to meet both of those prongs in order to qualify as a student having one of the 13 disability categories. I wanted to give you just a snapshot of our growth and then our shrinkage, as I like to call it, in special education over the last 4 years. This is our child count date. So we submit this to the state in October of each year. That's how our funding comes for the state. What I didn't show on here was 2020, which is when we returned from COVID. We were at 861. We grew dramatically post-COVID. We continued to grow. Part of that, I believe, is that educational gap that happened during that time. It made our numbers trend up. We had a lot of people move to the area too because of the reputation of Clover School District. So those numbers over the last 3 years have increased. What we've noticed though, this year you'll notice a dramatic decrease in the number that we submitted in October. What I really feel is that our students who were over-identified because of those COVID issues and COVID learning gaps, they've met the criteria to be dismissed from an IEP. They are back on grade level and performing where they should be. So we've gone through a lot of evaluations in the last few years to determine that a student was no longer eligible for special education, and those services have been decreased and diminished and then dismissed. We've also had kids graduate, so our numbers have diminished as well. I do believe that the October child count for this year truly represents students with disabilities in Clover School District and not that COVID learning experience that we all had during that time. Just to give you a breakdown about disability categories, there are 13 of them. I'm not going to read them to you all. The population that we serve most is specific learning disability. That is the greatest identified need in our district, followed by other health impairment, speech and language impaired, and then autism are the most heavily represented disability categories that we serve. A celebration that we have, and I hear it in our interviews, is our staffing. We have amazing staffing. You all have helped support that in providing us with positions to fill. This is our first year that we have filled every psychology position in the district, a true celebration for us. We have at least 1 school psychologist in every building. We have 2 school psychologists at Clover High School and 2 at Crowders Creek Elementary School due to their sizes. We were fully staffed with speech language pathologists, OTs, PTs. That's a unique thing because many people have to rely on contract agencies to fill those. But we have great opportunity here in Clover, and so I think the reputation helps us to bring in staff members. This year, we had 2 actually contracted positions. One is for a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst. We were not able to hire our own, so we do contract with an agency for that. And we had a student move into the district that was unexpected, and so we needed to contract a sign language interpreter to meet the student's needs. I wanted to give you an idea of caseload ranges that we have in our district. On the right-hand slide is what the state recommends that we have. We are really unique in Clover School District is that we keep our caseload sizes small, and that really has impact on the ability that we can put our efforts into meeting the needs of students and really be able to grow them at high levels. And so we work amazingly to do that. I was on the phone with a prospective candidate this afternoon talking about, she asked about caseload size, and I shared that at the elementary school where she's interested in possibly applying, that the range for a resource teacher is 12 to 19, and she shared with me at an elementary school her caseload is 40. So we hear that frequently though. Oh my goodness, the great things that I can do for students with a caseload of that size. Our OTs, our PTs, and our speech all fell well below what is required by the state, but again, that also allows us to be able to do great things for children. The only other one that I want to call out is our Multi-Cat 1 at the elementary level. You see the range is 3 to 11. We did have a classroom this year. Due to student achievement, we have not needed to have students in that Multi-Cat 1. That classroom will be dissolved for next year. We don't need that position because of the achievement of the students. 2 years ago, we talked about a preschool continuum. Before, we only had you got speech or self-contained preschool services. So for the past 2 years, we've worked really hard to have a continuum for our students, anywhere from being what we call SEIT, a special ed itinerant service delivery, and that is housed at our district resource center, so kids can drive in, get their services, and then go home and be in preschools and home daycares. We also go out into our community preschools and provide services for special education and speech and language in their district preschools. Our preschool partners really have benefited from this because we're giving the teachers skills too to not only meet the needs of the students that have IEPs, but also to meet other needs of students within their building. They're growing their skills as well. We have 2 unique classrooms at Crowders Creek Elementary School. This is the only in the state where we have a co-taught preschool classrooms. So we have a gen ed teacher and a special ed teacher that meet the needs of preschool students within those 2 classrooms. And then we continue to have our self-contained classrooms. We have a 3-year-old program at Griggs Road. We have Crowders Creek. We have a self-contained 4-year-old program that's a Multi-Cat 2-3, our more moderate severe population. And then we also have a Multi-Cat 1, our mild populations at both Crowders and also at Bethel Elementary School. So elementary and middle school, we have a similar continuum where we have co-teaching and inclusive classrooms in all of our buildings. We've put a lot of time and energy over the last few years for our ATSI schools and really improved our inclusive practices. One of my celebrations I will save for a little bit, but we've seen great impact about keeping kids connected to curriculum and providing that specialized instruction within their classrooms. We also have resource and learning strategies classes both across elementary and middle where students get pulled out if they need more intensive instruction but don't need to be missing the total ELA or math block. So we do that very carefully and do really intensive instruction during those pull-out times. We have self-contained mild classrooms where students need more intensive services for their reading and their math, sometimes social studies and science. So they do pull out and receive their services in a self-contained classroom. And then across elementary and middle, we also have what we call our multi-categorical 2-3 classrooms. So those are our moderate and severe students that are on alternate curriculum. We have 2 classrooms at Lauren Elementary, 2 at Oak Ridge Elementary, and 2 at Clover Middle. This was one of our growth positions that we asked for this year. It is a growing population in Clover School District, and we were granted the position. It's going to be at Crowders Creek Elementary, and we were able to fill it already. So we are set to go for that classroom for next school year. I did want to highlight our Learn Empower success. We began that classroom a year ago for our 3-5, and now we have a K2 and a 3-5. We currently serve 7 children. The state has reached out to us about this program because they find that it is very unique and impressive. And so they have come to visit us this year and would like to try to model that same program in other places, most specifically because of that connectedness to general education and special education. We keep our kids on track while they're working on learning those coping strategies to be able to still stay connected to curriculum and make progress. And so with a few successes, we have one of our students that is fully included in general education and will move on to middle school next year, fully included. We have another student who is half-time included but continuing to make progress and move forward. We have our kids using coping strategies when they're feeling frustrated and being able to access what they need when they need it. They're making friends. They're being able to do challenging activities, especially when you go out on the recess and you have to learn how to play with friends and maybe it didn't go your way. They're able to do that and navigate it with the coping strategies that they're learning. Their academics, they're achieving their iReady goals and their growth goals too. So we are staying connected to those academic standards as well as meeting their learning needs for coping strategies. Our high school disabilities curriculum looks a little bit differently, but yet similar. We have co-taught classes and learning strategies classes at the high school. We push in and do co-taught for ELA and math. We are looking to strategically change that next year to better meet the needs of our students, and I'll show you a slide with some data on that in a moment. We also have South Carolina High School Credential. That's where our students are working on that work readiness as well as challenging academics that help them be successful in life. They have to create a career portfolio as well as have 360 hours of work experience. This year, we will graduate 6 students with the South Carolina High School credential. For students who aren't able to access the rigorous standards of the credential program, we have a local high school credential. So we do modify the standards for students, but they're still held to the same number of work hours and learning those skills, those soft skills, to be successful. And our last part of our continuum is our functional life skills students. These students are on an alternate curriculum. They're working hard to build those real life skills. What is reading in action in a community? What is math in action? How do I balance my checkbook? How do I grocery shop? How do I do a recipe and understand the math of that? And so we're working hard in that area as well. So in terms of some hard data with SC Ready, because this is one of the metrics that we are judged against, and so we look from 3rd grade to 8th grade about our scores. We do know that these are students with the green that do have a disability, so academics is a challenge for them. And we see that over time, as those standards build across time, we have more standards and more information to know and be able to do. And so our scores have dropped down as we move up grade level wise. I'm hopeful that the work with our inclusive practices and the hard work that we've been doing at the middle school level about really keeping kids connected, being strategic about classes and the makeup of a classroom, the schedule of students, and then being very strategic about our learning strategies classes and the intensive instruction, that we'll begin to see that metric change a bit for ELA as well as math, because it's the same trajectory across time. As standards build, we need to be able to hold on to those and build on them instead of seeing them diminish. In terms of our high school end-of-course exams, this is what I was speaking about. We have students that are being successful in the English and the Algebra 1 end-of-course exam, because those are the 2 classes that are co-taught. Where we're not seeing a lot of growth in terms of our students doing better in biology and U.S. history, we really feel like reading and math still happens in those courses too. So how do we best meet the needs of students in those classes? So high school administration and Amy Mestowski in my department has been doing a lot of planning over the last few months about how do we reanalyze what we're doing at the high school and how do we better meet the needs of students there. We're also judged by our determination, our profile each year. We are always lag year data in this determination. So this was released to us a year ago. I've just seen the preliminary data for this year that will be official in the summer. So what I need to tell you is that we met requirements for this year when we were rated, and we're judged on 2 things. One is our compliance. So did we follow the rules and regulations that the state has laid out for us? We are typically very strong in this and usually achieve most of our points. The one area that we did not achieve all of our points for this year, 2 points is the total, we received 1, is on our disproportionality. So we were found to have over-identified students that are African American as being intellectually disabled. What we have to do when that happens is I have to present to the state, did we follow our process and our procedure? And we have to provide them students' names that we identified so that they can look to make sure. We always have done what we needed to do. It's a statistical analysis, and that's how we're denied that point. But we're always able to show that Clover School District has done what was right for the student, number 1, and 2, that we followed all the process and procedure in making that determination of disability category for the student. They also take a look at performance factors. So these are how do we achieve. On the right-hand side is our achievement in terms of how do we do compared to the state, what the target is that the state has set, and how we did the year before. And so we've achieved all of our points for both 4th grade ELA and math and 8th grade ELA and math. We're given a 1.5 points for that. So we have either met or exceeded our own achievement from the year before and met or exceeded the state or the target. For graduation rate, we are doing pretty well. That's on the left-hand side. We haven't hit the target yet for graduation rate that the state has set, but we have surpassed what the state has achieved as well as what we achieved in the year before. And we're also judged on our career readiness, which we are doing pretty well with that. Also with suspensions. We are very careful in Clover School District about suspending students with disabilities. What is it that's causing the behavior? What is the problem that we need to address? And being very careful and strategic. And we hold meetings frequently. That'll be on another slide for some challenges. But really why we're holding those meetings is to analyze the data that we have and see if we need to be doing something differently to meet the needs of the students. So we're well recognized in suspensions, making sure that we don't have as many as most people do. We are doing well with our early childhood standards, meeting those. And the last one is LRE, so that's the least restrictive environment. Are we serving our students to the greatest extent possible in the general ed classroom? And so they're looking for students to be in a general ed classroom at least 80% of the day, and that's the target that we are held accountable to. So challenges, I was asked to share some challenges with you all this evening as well as some celebrations. So for us, we affectionately call Ed Plan SC as Ed Pain this year. That is our new IEP reporting system that the state has rolled out. It has had some challenges at the beginning of the year as not being all that it was expected to be. Our teachers have rolled and tackled many obstacles in working through glitches in the system, things that weren't working, many tickets, many meetings, trying to get it working. I'm happy to say that although it has been a challenge, it is getting better. And so we are hopeful that for the start of next school year, it will be significantly better. The state has done a very nice job of taking our feedback, listening to what we say, and making changes to the system so that it flows much better. One big change that we've worked on them with is the evaluation that happens in the system. It was not very professional looking, and it was not very easy for parents or staff to read and understand the final document. So that's going to be rolled out as an improvement for next school year, so we're very hopeful. My up and down, in and out arrows, a lot of our staff and our administrators talked about the number of meetings, and so there are a lot of meetings when we're involved in special ed. We're celebrating successes in meetings, we're celebrating challenges, and how can we work together to best meet the needs of students. We also have done many evaluations about determining, is it a child with a disability, and that takes meetings too. That can become frustrating and taxing when you're trying to also deliver services to students when you're having meetings. So it's something we continue to work on and try to be flexible about how do we schedule them, how much time out of the day does that take, with being able to meet a parent's needs and being able to meet a teaching need as well. And my last graphic for that one is behavior. Behavior continues to be a challenge in every building, across every level, general ed and special ed, really meeting the needs of children because they don't have the grit as much anymore that they have had in the past, but they also have challenges, and we need to understand what those challenges are and how do we best meet their needs. So continuing to work on those strategies for working with kids that have that challenging behavior will be a focus for us to continue on. And ending in success. So this information I gathered from staff and from administrators. The biggest thing that they talk about is the successes with caseload size. It really makes them be able to do their job because they can focus on the individual unique needs of students. So they are very excited about that. Again, staffing, being fully staffed this year, not having to work with rearranging caseloads and trying to meet the needs of students, but having everyone that you need. And then those inclusive practices, that in teamwork that happens, has really made a dramatic impact on the achievement of our students. We're seeing great gains in meeting goals on IEPs, on grades in classes, on being able to navigate the social field within their classroom, and their IRABI data is increasing dramatically. So that has made a big difference. Also, Special Olympics. We have some amazing peer partners in our school, peer buddies, and our ability for our students to get out and participate in Special Olympics and unified sports. And the last one that I wanted to share was our Clover Leaf grants that our staff has been awarded. A speech pathologist was awarded task boxes this year through her Clover Leaf grant, and the excitement that her students have in utilizing those boxes and being able to produce their speech and their language by utilizing them has been amazing. And then to end, just to share a few pictures. The first one is, and the second one on the top are just Oak Ridge Middle School. They work a lot with peer buddies and partnering with them, learning those social skills, using their language to communicate with friends. They have a school store, which is the second picture there, where they can use their math skills in real time to be able to calculate and sell things. Preschool is there. Special Olympics is represented too. The bottom two pictures on the left is co-teaching in action at Oak Ridge Elementary School. Big successes there. And then the two pictures on the right are just school events, so being included in the Thanksgiving events at Griggs Road, as well as a parade for Clover High School. So exciting things happening. What questions do you have for me this evening?
I have one. Do you have one?
No, go ahead.
I have one about current staffing. I know we've got a few vacancies. Will you catch us up where we are now with staff?
We do, absolutely. So we have 2 preschool positions open. We have 1 psych position open. We have and 2 multi-cat 2, or multi-cat 1 elementary and 1 multi-cat 2-3 high school. I'm really excited to say that in the last 2 weeks, we have interviewed some amazing candidates. I believe we're going to make an offer for our high school position tomorrow. We have a few more psych interviews the end of this week, but we interviewed an amazing candidate over the course of the last 2 weeks that I think will be a fabulous fit. And we have 2 preschool teachers that we've just interviewed today and the week before break. So I feel very hopeful that with the staffing positions that we know are open, that we will be able to fill them.
Thank you. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the profile determination, just for clarity, it says 22 to 23, so this is a few years back.
It always is, yes. So the report that I got today is for 23-24.
Okay, and we did not see the same, I guess for compliance number 9 around disproportionate representation?
We had 2 points there the year before, and I can't share what this one looks like, but that has come and gone over time.
Okay.
And the State Department shares that is okay. Really, the key takeaway for us in that area is being able to show that we really have followed our process and procedure, followed what we call the SEED document, the Standards for Evaluation and Eligibility Determination, making sure that we have done what we should have done, because in their heart, too, even though they dock us a point for it, we shouldn't not qualify a student if truly that is their qualification category, because I'm going to lose a point. I'd rather lose that point on the profile, but do what's right and follows the regulations for the student.
Yeah, I was wondering if after you submit all of the documentation, do they come back with a recommendation?
They just continue to follow the process and the procedure, and we don't get our point back.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Ms. Kerber, earlier in your presentation, you talked about we'd had so many kids transition back to general ed that you were going to need one less. Was it
One
Cat
less it is. It's a multi-categorical classroom at Larne Elementary School.
Okay.
And because our students have made tremendous progress, they have moved on to middle school, that our numbers have shrunk dramatically there.
Are we going to move that position to another place? Or
We did, actually, already.
The reason I'm asking is with our uncertainty and growth, if we give up a position, how do we not know that we might need it come August?
We did. So where we did it as a makeshift now until maybe things get approved in August. Knowing our growth and the 3 schools opening and needing of a psychologist in every building, we transferred that into a psychology position. And so we have hired someone that has been our intern. So she has been an intern and a trainee from Winthrop. We've had her for 2 years. She knows Clover School District process and procedure, and she's an amazing school psychologist. So we were able to offer her that position and keep her in Clover School District.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gerber, I'd like to say, being in the school setting, I know how hard you all work, like all of our teachers, but I appreciate, and I'm sure our board appreciates all the work and the creative thinking that you're doing for our district and our students.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much for
Thank
all
you,
that
ma'am.
your team does. I really want to formally say to all of our special education teachers who might be listening, you are an amazing group of people. We appreciate all your hard work, as well as our students. We've got some of the most amazing, caring, lovely students, so thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, next up is our federal program update board. Kind of a lot of the presentations tonight are teeing up for our budget discussions that happen always in May. There are 2 meetings that we have on the budget. So you had the Ag Arena, you have special education. We're always going to be looking to see what positions we need there. I asked Dr. Dickey to pull together this information because there's a lot of talk nationally about the U.S. Department of Education and funding that comes with that agency. And so I wanted to get some clarity and make sure you understood the impact that federal funds have on our school district and on our budget. So if you would please, Dr. Dickey, walk us through that.
Good evening, Dr. Quinn, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just want to provide you with a brief overview of some numbers, and you had this in advance, but I'll kind of do a breakdown a little bit more detailed on which each federal pot of money provides and what things are provided for us. The first thing we want to look at is ATSI money, and so that's a small pot there, but ATSI support is provided based on schools who have a subgroup of students that perform lower than the bottom 5% of students in the state. And for us, we had 3 schools that were identified in this area, Clover Middle, Bethel, and Oak Ridge Elementary.
And that population was disabled.
And that population was our disabled students that were.
You saw our data there from the previous presentation.
That did that. And so the ATSI designation is done every 3 years. This year we were fortunate. We had 2 schools that were identified that did roll off, that were Oak Ridge Elementary and Bethel Elementary rolled off. But it is a constant work in progress. Both of those schools have done some significant work to get those special education students where they need to be performing. And so hopefully we will also continue to see that work. Ms. Gerber and team have worked with the teachers there to provide opportunities to make sure that those special education students are receiving Tier 1 instruction in reading and math so that they are scoring better on our statewide test. The next 3 or 4 that you see there are the title funds, Title 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so what's important to remember for each of those is that with title funds is that they have to supplement and not supplant. So they are things above and beyond what our local and state monies do. The first pot that we have is Title 1, which is slightly over $750,000. Those schools that are designated as Title 1 are Bethany, Larn, and Kynard, and they are designated as having 50% or more students who are considered pupils in poverty. That money, while it provides some positions, if you see there, you see about 5 FTEs that it provides across those schools, but it also provides money for instructional supplies over and beyond what all the schools have. It supports field trips for students there. We also have some support for our homeless population of students that comes out of Title I. It provides some summer programs, some after-school tutoring in those schools, as well as professional development. Because you see 2 of those schools are Leader in Me schools, and so some of that money goes toward Leader in Me. The second title pot, Title II, has about $187,000 there. That does not cover any FTEs or positions, but it is specifically focused on teachers and administrators. So we have stipends when teachers come and do professional development in the summer. We also pay for registration for conferences for some of our administrators and teachers as well. Title III, small pot, just over $20,000, and that is geared toward our students that are multilingual learners. We pay for licenses to provide technology and software to help them learn English, the English language, and we also do some books and supplies for family literacy nights that we host with those families.
Dr. Dickey, with those funds, the current teachers, which I think have 5 or 6,
yes,
are paid for under the general budget. This just
that is correct.
Supports their work.
It supports their work, but our teachers are paid as a part of the general budget. And then finally, Title IV, again, there's no FTEs in that, but that we try and focus on things to really support enrichment opportunities for students. If you've known some summers before, we've done a fine arts camp for our students who don't make it to summer starts. They don't make that cut. We use that to provide that. We do some summer camp with the high school students to prepare them for some of those EOC courses. We do SAT and ACT prep for high school students as well. And then we also do some mental health and drug awareness sorts of programming with those funds in Title IV. We'll go on and look at some others. So we also receive Perkins money for our career in tech. That pot does provide for 2 part-time employees. Ms. Boland uses it for instructional supplies and software, student competitions, and professional development for her teachers there. In our food service program, our largest federal pot comes there. It's a little over $2 million. And as you see there, it funds 51 employees who work for food service for us. We use it for our contract management companies, substitutes who work in the food service arena, as well as supplies for food service. Next, you see 2 lines for IDEA, and so combined, that's our second largest federal pot with just over about 1 3/4 million there. There are some positions that are funded. You see teacher assistants, you see interpreters, occupational therapy assistants, SPED secretaries, and a teacher assistant for IDEA preschool. But it also provides instructional supplies. There are dues and licenses that are paid, contracted services and professional development and staff travel all come from those 2 areas for IDEA supporting our special education students. After that, we have $130,000 that comes from junior ROTC, and that provides 1.5 instructors who teach in that program at the high school. And then our final pot of money comes from adult education, which is about $218,000. You see there are some positions that are funded through that category, but then there are also some instructional supplies. And so just to kind of sum it up, Clover School District receives, here you can see about $5.3 million in federal funds to fund various aspects of programming that are here. And we are grateful for the funds that we receive. There are a lot of things that we would be unable to do without these funds, some things that are just really necessary day to day, but some of the things that you also see that are above and beyond things that really provide enrichment for students, and so we're grateful for those amounts. Are there any questions I can entertain about what funds we
Dr. Dickey,
receive?
is this money normally consistent from year to year, or does it fluctuate?
So that's interesting that you ask. So I'll give you some example on one aspect and then another. I have done federal funds for our district now for about 7 years. When I started, Clover received about $1.3 million is where we were in terms of Title I funds. And as you see now, we're just really slightly over $750,000 million. So we have seen a decrease in that area. On the flip side, when you look at Title II and Title III, when I started, Title II received about $150,000 or so is where we were. Now we're at $187,000. Title III, when I started, was about $13,000 or $14,000 a year, and now we're at $20,000. So depending on the way the money comes from the federal level to the state and how it's designated to us can vary just a bit. And a lot of it comes in to do with our enrollment, and you take into account the enrollment from year to year where they are, particularly if you see the title funds decrease, the number of students who are qualified or considered pupils in poverty has decreased significantly since the pandemic. And so that's part of the reason for the decline in that area. But in terms of Title III students, our enrollment with multilingual students has increased. So that fund, that's a fund that you see that has increased over time.
And is the amount contingent that we spend it every year? For example, if we don't spend it all, is it cut the next year? Or?
So when you look at those Title I, II, III, and IV, those funds run on a contingency. It's considered, I guess, 20 months. So what we receive in the pot of July, so if you use an example, July of 2025, what we receive, we have to spend that money by September of 2026. So we have a little over a year to spend it all. And so there are some carryover from year to year with these. So it's not like if you don't spend it, you do lose it. So we do have to spend it, but you have more than a school year to spend it.
Well, I'm sure it mostly all gets used up. I was just curious if the amount was contingent upon how much we used of it.
No, sir, it's not. That's not contingent upon that.
So with the rumblings of potential, Department of Ed and like federally going away, this money ideally would be dispersed to the states to then disperse to us to not lose it.
Right.
Correct? So it would be included in a new state budget. And they would have to take on these particular types of roles for this allocated money.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
That is the hope, and that is what
That's the
we
hope,
believe is the direction, but things are still a moving target.
But that's the plan, but it's also very much so outcomes-based. So they really want us to make sure that if that is the case, that we are looking toward the best outcomes for students and really moving the needle for them academically and making sure that they are successful.
As I can see this number being much larger in other districts and smaller, in some other districts. We're a very fortunate district, But yeah, it's a lot to think about coming up.
It is a lot to think about.
I just felt like most people don't know that there's this much funding in federal funds in a district our size. You can imagine a Charlotte Meg. So we're very happy to have it, and we couldn't do all the things that we do without it. So we wanted the board to have a sense of how much we get.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the superintendent's report. We are now ready to move into some of our operations facilities.
Good evening, Dr. Quinn, Mr. Wallace, and the board. I want to give you a quick update on the happenings around all of the capital projects and facility projects around the district. Also want to remind you that I included the LNG board report that John put together for you as a supporting document with a little more detail if you want to look at that, but I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights. The first, the Roosevelt Middle project to add the chorus and band room is coming along very nicely. The interior finishes are progressing well, meaning ceiling tiles, lighting fixtures, that sort of thing is going in. We expect to have occupancy certainly in June, but most of the work will be completed in mid-May, so we're getting very close to closing that down. Just to share a few pictures, this is the accessibility ramp and what will be the entrance from the bus road to the side of the new facility. To the right is the auditorium you see the rear of. Excuse me. Here's the view from the other side, looking from probably the third floor wing of the Roosevelt Middle School, looking back towards, you see the athletics facility in the background. So you can see things are coming around on the inside. There'll be some cleanup on the outside happening soon, and it'll start looking very nice. Here's a picture of some of the interior corridors with the ceiling tiles and some of the fixtures going up. And keep in mind, this is about 2 weeks old, too. This is before spring break, so some things have happened since. To jump over to the new school sites at Cannonball Run, Liberty Hill Elementary School is really progressing. Slabs are getting poured. I don't know exactly where they are as of today, but they're pouring more slab each and every day that the weather is good. We had reported that there were some rock deposits found in the upper corner near where the bus lot is, where we were having to dig some sewer and some water utilities. We've got that currently handled according to Kirk, and we're in good shape right there with the rock deposits we found, and the stormwater and plumbing rough ends are progressing. That's where some of that rough end, the stormwater drains and the water drains are up to 12, 14 feet deep, so that's where we have some of the challenges with the rock that we've had. In terms of Lake Wally High School, they're looking for all of the footing work to be completed by midway. The slab on grade is about 90% complete on main level, which means that if you remember the first two wings to start on the far right, if you're looking at the school from the front, you can start on the first floor there and walk all the way to the gym on concrete. So it's really coming together. You can see the walls of the administrative area going up, the theater, so things are happening very fast there. Curbing and asphalt in the parking areas, the student parking lot is coming to life, and the athletics package, we will be bringing that to you at the next meeting. We got our bids in, and we're putting together and evaluating those to present to you soon. Wanted to give a couple of, here's the video. These are the, excuse me, the original two wings that were started. You can see the third floor slab is poured there on the wing on the left. Area H is coming along. Here we're at the rear of the school. You see the round theater up there. That will be the cafeteria on the second floor. Underneath what you're looking at is the locker room and athletics areas. And then the gym. There is the playing gym. Behind it is the auxiliary gym, and behind that is the wrestling area. So you can see there's lots happening, and it continues to happen pretty fast, even given some of the weather challenges that we've had. Here's a little trip. That's Daimler Boulevard to the left, and what we're coming up on will be the student and athletics entrance right there. Right there at that intersection is where we encountered some of the last rock deposits that were a problem for us. Looking back up the road, you see the parking lot in the upper right-hand corner and the ball field areas to the right of the road, inside of the road there. You're kind of traveling up as if you're coming to the game or coming to school in the morning. At the back side, Daimler Boulevard is up at the top of your screen. So you can see, you can really get around the area now, and I invite you, if anybody wants to take a visit, you please let me know, and I'm happy to arrange a visit out there with John and Kirk. Here's a look at Liberty Hill Elementary School. You can see the slabs getting poured in that far right corner. Parking lot coming together up top. West Liberty Hill Road is behind us from this perspective. And this is taking us up the entry road back to Daimler Boulevard. And I believe we'll spin right back around.
Cannonball, she's saying.
Pardon me?
They were correcting you for Cannonball.
Cannonball? Did I say Daimler
Yes,
again?
it's hard to let go.
It is hard to let go. Well, I still call Roosevelt Middle the junior high, so that tells you where my mind is, okay? So there's a quick little overview. I did speed it up tonight, so I didn't have to stop. I hope that was easy to follow. It makes it a little better. There are some approvals tonight that I will put before you, and I want to remind you first that these change orders have been previously discussed and approved funding for these over the course of 2 meetings with Mr. Love. Back in December, we did our first ban notifying about the bans, the bond anticipation notes, and the other funding that we did. And last month, in March, we did another update where these change orders, or the pending change orders, were discussed as that line item. And these approvals are simply the execution of those funds that were approved at those meetings. The first is the early site change order to Hoopaw to replenish the rock and unsuitable soil allowances in the amount of $425,000. If you remember, we did exceed our allowances in the rock and unsuitable soils. Soil was not good for compaction. We had to change that, move it around. Those were exceeded what we had budgeted. So we used that money to pay for some other things. So we used that allowance up. So this is replenishing that rock allowance to make the allowance budget whole again. So the first approval I would ask is that change order to Hoopaw in the amount not to exceed $425,000 for rock and unsuitable soil replacement.
Any questions from the board?
Excuse me.
Without objection, the board will approve the early site change order to Hoopaw to replenish rock and unsuitable soil allowances not to exceed $425,000. Hearing none, it's approved.
All right, thank you. The next change order is not necessarily new money. It's a shifting of money from one budget to another. When we did our value engineering exercise with contract construction, one of the items that we VE'd out was the AV system, the audio video systems, which are the sound systems for the multiple areas around the school building, for example, the Tech Forest, Media Center, gym, that sort of thing. We felt like with the state contract prices that we get, and because the district, we had always taken care of the AV in the schools ourselves before, we felt we would be able to adopt that into the technology budget. Which we initially did, but after we started getting prices and checking with the vendors that we use, we found out that the price that the contract gave us was a better price. So we actually, this change order is to revert that AV component back to contract. So this is not necessarily new money. This is money that was going to be procured in the technology budget, which is now going to go back to pay for this. And I will say, in addition to moving this back and saving money, we have done some value engineering on this specific piece of the project with IT and our vendors to make sure that we're not overbuilding. We've been able to make some cuts in number of speakers, placement of speakers, to make it more efficient and a little more reasonable on price. So we're working through those as well. So the amount to move this back under contract construction. We'll ask for approval to move this AV scope back for an amount not to exceed $497,000.
Questions from the board? Without objection, the board will add the AV scope of work to contract construction in the amount not to exceed $497,000. Hearing none, it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give you an opportunity, if you have any questions about any of the projects going on, be happy to answer them.
I'd love to take a tour again.
If you just shoot me an email, if there's anybody else, if enough of you want to do it, I can set up some times like we did last time. We're happy to do that. Much easier to get around than it was last time you visited. All right, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Love, you are up next for our finance report.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn, Mr. Chairman, other members of the board. We'll start out with our current year-to-date information. You'll note revenue through the end of March was $109 million, $87 million spent. We're starting to turn around. It's where we are, gradually drawing that balance. That revenue is slightly less than the actual March revenue because we prepared this slide before we received notification of the March tax collections. So it's about $1 million less than we actually collected in March. And we have the standard information and the information from the ledger showing the various detail of revenues and expenditures to show where we stand. This is exactly as our books show. If you have any questions, please stop me as we go through. Now we want to talk a bit about where we are looking at and what we're thinking about on the budget for this next year. The first one has to do with teacher salary increases. Right now, it appears that the legislature is going to settle in on a $1,500 per slot for each teacher. That means $1,500 for every one of the roughly 700 teachers being paid on the teacher salary schedule. In each of the categories, from bachelor's over to doctors and from 0 years to 28 years. Each of those would have $1,500. That will turn out into each of those slots receiving a different percentage, much like it had a few years ago when we had a $1,000 increase. Everybody gets the same money, but as I look at it, my 2% is not the same as your 2%. It creates some discussion, but that's where we stand right now with what's being looked at. Most of our neighbors are considering that same amount as well. There also is a change in the funding of teacher salaries in that the bachelor's in 18 category is being taken out of the teacher's salary schedule. So we have a couple of dozen people in that category who will be in an interim position until they work their way out. Most of those people we have found over the years do end up in the next year or year and a half after that we have that category of completing their master's degree, which is where part of the bachelor's plus 18 is supposed to be. So right now we won't have that in the exact schedule. We plan on maintaining that until those folks work their way through the schedule. They will not move up to masters until they actually are certified by that.
Mr. Love, but anyone knew if I achieve bachelor's plus 18 after next year, I won't get the pay increase until I get my master's.
That's right. There will be no pay increase until you get the master's unless we make a change.
But if I'm in progress, I'm already at 18, I will hold until I get my master's.
That's right. That's what we understand. Budget's still in process. Things may change, but this appears to be similar to both the House and Senate.
I wanted to repeat that because I know I have teachers who listen and they are in that category and I didn't want them to.
If they're in the bachelor's plus 18 category, they will be there until they achieve the certification as a master's. There's no movement, no planned movement, no raise just because it's not there in the schedule anymore. They would get the $1,500 like everybody's planned on. And in terms of that, there is some discussion and among us finance folks that we may not be receiving the full amount of funding for that $1,500. And if we look at what we're receiving under the general allocations, we find that the old EIA and the old EFA are merged in the funding formula now. We do have two lines of that funding formula, and if we look at what's projected from the House Ways and Means Committee with ours and compare it to the $1,500 increase plus the fringe on that $1,500, we're just right at the break even. So, but depending upon the number of people you may have in your staff, you may be short of the state funding, may be a little above. Now, that always has been a challenge. I was saying that the state doesn't fund a particular activity. And sometimes we can clearly identify that for years we've always said it's an unfunded mandate. The way the funding goes now, it's very difficult to determine any way other than saying we have a total number of teachers, this is the total amount of state funding we're going to get, and will one equal the other? We can't tie it into a particular teacher. We don't expect anything on the change of the funding formula of 1 per 11. We've not seen anything about that, but that information still has got to come, and we hope we'll receive that in the next couple of weeks. But we want you to be aware that we're still in a situation that we maybe can't tell for a bit whether we are coming up short or whether we're not. There is an increase that we need to think about on health insurance. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the current budget at that time recommended an increase for staff. It has come through another committee, and right now it's a change for a recommended increase for employers of about 4.6%. That's a good little chunk of change for us. But so there are several things in process of where we are that gives us a challenge on coming to a conclusion of what we need to recommend. We do say, as I mentioned, an increase in state aid. That is true. The legislature is giving us the money. They have made sure they can say that, and that's true, they've given it. And as I mentioned in the comparison a minute ago, it may not even be enough to pay for the minimum increase in teacher salaries. And what that does is it leaves the rest of it for anything else on the district itself. Now, as we get into the local side, as I mentioned previously, this year is a year of reassessment. And when we are reassessed, we have to take the new assessment for all properties that are subject to it and divide that into the current revenue for the previous year, and then roll back the taxes to make that calculation. And through that, we leave out or are able to subtract increases, additions, and growth and things like that, so that you're making a tax calculation on the same properties and the value that it was in the previous 5 years. We have to go through that with the county assessor and county tax folks in the property section to get the values of properties we're dealing with and go through a formula that is approved by the county auditor before we start levying taxes. But you will hear us talk about a rollback tax rate, and that's where we will start. If we need to add any taxes, it won't be at the 220 that we have now. It may be back at 200 or 215 or whatever the math comes out. The rollback starts, and then we start adding, if any. We are allowed this year to go up the consumer price index and the population increase that is determined by the Board of Economic Advisors in Columbia. This year, those numbers work out to 5.48%, which is a translation into current dollars of about 12.8 mils at current dollars. It will be different when we have the rollback tax basis as part of the mathematical calculation. So those are things that we're coming through, and we hope that we will have those numbers pretty well tied down by the time we're able to come to a conclusion in March. County auditor says we're hopeful to do that. Tax assessor and realty property has a little different number, but we've got to work through that by the time we come to a recommendation for you folks. There is also a couple of mills of tax that we're allowed to borrow or to use because we have not levied them in years past. We have a 3-year limit that we can go back to some, and if you remember, a few years ago, we didn't levy any operating tax increase at all. We have those that we have been moving to come forward on a first-in, first-out basis, like inventory, because you can't go back any further than 3 years to use any levies that you were allowed to use but didn't. So all of those will go into the overall calculation as we come to you. We're considering an overall cost of living increase for staff that we don't have a recommendation yet, but certainly some of the neighbors around are looking at a couple of % as the possibility. And we'll discuss that as we come to a conclusion for you to consider in a couple of weeks.
Mr. Love, what is the current value of an operating mill?
An operating mill right now is about $260,000. We're expecting it to go to about 280, 290. And it looks as if debt service is going to hit close to $500,000. We're looking at a little over 400,000 now. That shows that our growth in assessments in owner-occupied homes, because the assessment there, if it was businesses, it would be percentage-wise on the same side, or both sides. But we're picking up a lot of owner-occupied homes.
And as a reminder, the debt service pays for capital, pays for the buildings. Operating side pays for the teachers, the lights, the books, the things that we have to buy. So just making sure everybody remembers that.
We have one other item to request tonight, and that's we approve a renewal of Chartwell's contract for 25-26. This is step one in renewing the process. We prepare the data, send it to the state. They have to approve it before it is actually approved for them to start business in July.
So you need an approval for that?
Need an approval. This is start one.
Any questions from the board on the renewal of the Chartwell's contract?
Just one real quick, Mr. Love. It seems like we've used Chartwell's for a good number of years. What's the main consideration? Is it cost? I just wondering why, if there's a reason why we seems like we've used Chartwell's for a good number of years now.
Yeah, we're into a renewal of contract. The food service contracts are bid on a 5-year cycle with renewal every year unless there's a problem. This is the second year of Chartwell's current contract. They happened to, 10 years ago we had Aramark, then we rebid it. Chartwell's has won it since. There are half a dozen companies in the country that provide services for K-12 operations. Chartwell's just happened to be the one. It is selected based on overall cost to students.
Okay. So we consider these other 5 or 6 companies every 5 years?
Yes, right. Okay. We advertise nationally. USDA requires that be done. And these folks then respond to the request for proposals. We evaluate them all. Last time we had, I think, 4 or 5. Even one from up New Jersey submitted a proposal. So their companies provide advantages that we have not been able to provide as a self-op operation.
Thank you, sir.
Just so I'm clear, this is step one of the renewal of the contract?
Yes, I'm saying step one because we have to approve to go ahead and go to the state, get the current dollar value.
So you just need us to approve that you're going to start the process?
That's right.
Okay.
We'll have a final approval in June, maybe it may be as late as 1st of July.
Gotcha. Without objection, the board will approve the renewal of the Chartwell's contract for 25-26. Hearing none, it's approved.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I do have one question.
Okay.
And I'm not an accountant, obviously. But if you as a state say you're going to give $1,500 per teacher, and you got 1,000 teachers, why would the state not give us 1,500 times 1,000? Is it just too easy?
Too easy. Realistically, they don't fund by the teacher slot. the balance, it's this. They take the number of teachers, multiply it by the number of students, and percentage-wise, the percent that we have of overall property assessment as compared to the state. All of those kinds of things that that went into some of those older formulas are fixed into this particular formula. So it doesn't work out exactly that way.
Right.
That's the logical way, but it doesn't.
Gotcha.
And the fringe is not calculated in.
Right, yeah, I knew the fringe wouldn't be, but
And we're still using the 11-to-1 scale, 11
As far as we know,
students per
yes.
teacher? Or-
Right.
And
doesn't matter what we're using, it's what they're using.
that's what they're
but-
using, but that includes
That's what
art,
they're
music,
using is
PE,
11-to-1. Yeah.
media
Yeah.
center, counselors, anyone coded as a teacher.
Yeah, more than just teachers in the classroom in that pot,
Right, right.
which distorts the numbers that you try to come to.
In other words, that's too simple.
Too simple, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I believe that concludes our agenda
I
for this
need
evening.
a motion to end the work session, the public session.
So moved.
And a second. Meeting adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.